Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and we are proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you're a growing business and want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. We're also proudly sponsored by VMB Auto Centres. If you want anything doing to your vehicle and you're based in and around the Handsworth area, if you speak to them, mention the word Ramble, you'll get a 10% discount. We've had superb feedback about their services, so thank you to Aaron and the team for their support as well. Good evening. How are we? There's not a lot of news, if you like. I know some people come here, but I don't want to sort of dangle a carrot that's not really there for that. I've been thrown off slightly, thrown off guard because I've been. Sam's out. I might have to go at any time. I might have to cut this short. Mrs. Ramble's out on her bottomless brunch. So I know it's the new thing, isn't it, where they just get absolutely hammered. So I could get a call at any time. So, you know, that's one of them things. But I've had the girls, so I've missed all the stuff that's been coming in on social media. I haven't really had my phone to hand, to be honest. I've been making the tea and getting this sorted out and what have you. So, just as I've come to set up, I've seen the circulation of the Gus photo. I don't like it. For those of you that haven't seen it or don't know what I'm talking about, there's a photo circulated online of Gus Hamer at the Leeds Valencia game. I don't like it. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I've only just seen it. So there's not. I see that somebody's responded to my Twitter that says. There's a few United lads there, which eases my concerns a little bit. I've been trying to put piece together. Who does Gus know? Who does Gus know that's now at Leeds that he could be big mates with or whatever it might be? Does he know anybody at Valencia that he plays with at national team? Anyway, I'm just going to park that for a minute. You can maybe catch me up in comments. Maybe I'm jumping gun and maybe I'm just reacting unnecessarily. But Gus Hamer, we all strongly suspect, has got a release clause in his contract, but it's high. It's high. We're not budging on what we won't sell for a penny less than whatever the release clause is, from what I understand, if that's the situation. So if somebody wants Gus Hamer, they're going to have to pay Sheffield United a lot of money. And to be honest, and listen, one performance does not. It's not even worth saying, but I thought he was quite poor last night, to be honest. Certainly first half. Just looked unfit. Once he gets fit, we know what a player he is. I think it's a slight shame. It's not a shame, but it's tricky that I don't know how we're going to get the best out of Gus Hamer this season. Before Callum O'Hare was on the scene, myself and my dad were suggesting he'd be brilliant in that 10 role. But watching Callum O'Hare last night, he's just an absolutely sublime footballer. And because he's ultimately our best number 10, Gus Hamer's going to have to work in and around it. He's not a wide left man, but because of the formation we've been playing, that's where he's been. As I say, I thought we were at fault for a goal last night, certainly giving away possession. Gus Hamer will come good, we know that, but I certainly don't want him anywhere near them Leeds boys. Ugh. Anyway, the reason I wanted to come on and chat with you all tonight was this fan base, me included, as you've just seen live, are so up and down. It's unreal. We're very emotional. We're very invested in our club. We care a lot. It affects more people in a lot of ways than I think people realise. And we talk a lot about this in our group, in Ramblers chat, because if like your partner, for example, or people at work or people you speak to don't follow football or aren't as into football, I don't think they understand really how your football team can affect not only your mood, but your mental state. And that, I don't necessarily mean it's up or down or has long-lasting effects. But I know that if United lose, I am on the floor in terms of don't talk to me, don't I don't want to go out, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And it's when you think about it, it's a little bit ridiculous. But that's how I am. That's how I'm wired, and I know it's how a lot of you are wired as well. So I understand when there's like really strong reactions to stuff, which is why I always think it's important when I've got when I have the sort of conversations with people that I do, and I know that's controversial to some, and I understand that as well. But I like to try and calm the waters where I can. He says, just coming on panicking that Gus Hamer's signing for Leeds. But last night, Chris Wilder was interviewed by Adam Oxley. I thought Adam did another superb interview from Football 11, pushed and probed and wanted answers. I didn't think they were, I don't know the word. I don't think there were pointed questions in any direction. I just think they were fair and honest. And I would say that because I get on well with Adam, but I genuinely think what he's pulled out of Chris Wilder is, I initially interpreted it and I put on Twitter something like, I love that. I love the honesty. I love the rawness. I love, he's straight down the line. He talked about not having enough currently, but, he can only hope that we get more bodies in. He talked about working as hard as they could and that trying to be open with the fan base about it's going to be frees and loans and modest transfer fees. No, there is no bigger Chris Wilder fan than me. No bigger Chris. People will argue that point, but I think if you've watched the channel long enough, I am up there in terms of backing Chris Wilder, and I always will. I think what he's done for our football club is absolutely amazing. What I didn't really see, I liked it at the time, and I love, as a fan, the fan in me loves the honesty and the just the openness and how he speaks, because you listen to him and he's a leader. You know that he knows what this club needs. He knows what's best for us going forward and how to rebuild us. I think the one thing we will all agree on, or the majority should, in my opinion, is that the signings that we have made so far, which have got Wilder's fingerprints all over them, have been brilliant. 3 really marquee signings, 2 really strong squad players. And if we can get 5 more of them, I think we'll all be happy. Looking at some of the comments to my tweet, to Adam's original tweet, to just the whole consensus online, is that it's turned a little bit again, and Prince Abdullah, F off out of the club, F this. Yeah, it's an absolute joke. I struggle to find what we gain out of them, other than the fans leaning towards Wilder, but then pushing back on the board. Now, the one example I'll give is, I went on yesterday, and we all know that we've been linked with Kijani Hoever, the Wolves right back, who's been on loan at Stoke for a season and a half, done really well. It's fallen through, we believe. If all reports are to be believed, and you can read between lines in what I'm saying, the kid's failed a medical, we believe, allegedly. The kid has failed a medical. This club is a joke. Why are we so crap as a club? Why can't we get these deals done? What? I don't understand how that's the club's fault, whether the people blame the Prince or the board or the club. I don't understand how we can get stick as a club for not getting that deal done. And I know the majority of people of sound mind will understand that point and say, of course, it's not the club's fault. You don't want to be signing a broken player, essentially. The alternative is what? We sign him and he can't play for 3 months. Then we'd be called incompetent. And you can't do that. You can't do that. That's wasting the club's money. We'll likely now move to another target that is lined up, from what I understand. So that annoys me, when something completely out of the club's control, the club are getting blamed for. And the only other thing I'll say on the the Wilder thing is, he'll know what's going on behind the scenes, and that's what worries fans. I've heard we're very active and we're confident that we'll get up to another 5 players in before the window. And I know people think we need more, and I think possibly we do need more than that. But it depends on the quality of the signing as well, doesn't it? And any players that leave will be replaced. You've got to believe that Chris Wilder's had similar conversations. So if he knows that he's getting potentially at least 3, 4, which is low, it's not enough. But if he knows we're getting 5 players in, then there's got to be a little bit more solidarity about it. There's got to be more. We're working on it. There's stuff going on behind the scenes, and we will strengthen. I think the frustration comes when Wilder lets out the fan in him. He's the manager of the football club. Results and things like that rest on his shoulders. I completely understand it, by the way. I just think in retrospect, it's worth thinking about how we communicate that message. And communicate and Sheffield United are not 2 words that go together, are they? But Wilder tries his best to be open and honest with us as a fan base. And I think when he's pushed and probed, and he wasn't coming out and kicking off with anybody. He was asked questions that he tried to give honest answers to and where he could. So I don't particularly blame Wilder. I just think, I don't know whether we need to self-regulate a little bit better. I don't like that it's set the fans off again when we don't need discontent at a time like this. He's doing such a great job of rebuilding the club, rejuvenating us completely. I put my last video called Blades 2.0 because of the way that he started this rebuild is incredible. I think Callum O'Hare, and this, you don't say this lightly and say it in hushed corners, but he's the most similar player to Iliman Ndiaye that we've seen since Illy's gone, and the promise that he shows as a flair player for us in that number 10, he could be the difference. He could be the difference. But we're thin on the ground. There's absolutely no getting around it. We are thin on the ground. We're not going to be ready. We're not going to be a complete squad for Preston. But we have still got, 4 weeks? 4 weeks of this transfer window to go. Nobody wants to think like that there's time after the Preston game. Everybody wants us, me included, by the way, for us all to be ready and off to the races by the time Preston rolls around. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So the one thing I would say is I'd rather wait and get the right players in than sign Hoever because we can, but he can't play for 2 months. What's the point? That's just padding the squad and paying dead money out for no reason. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a. I don't know. I don't really know whether that's. I'm more disappointed that because I thought we played second half yesterday. I thought we dominated, absolutely dominated. How it won 3-4-5. Well, Lee Nichols is a big reason. Huddersfield keeper. But I thought we played really well, started playing in little pockets. How good does Harrison Burrows look, by the way? Really, really strong. I don't think, obviously, Shackleton's gone down with that unfortunate injury. But I don't think we could have asked much more from pre-season, from 5 new signings than what we've got. If we get another 5 of that ilk, we won't be far away at all. We will not be far away. I'm going to jump into your comments now because I'm going to see if somebody else can sort of balance me out a little bit. There was obviously a lot of comments went in before I've come live, so there might not be some relevant to what I've been talking about. But Pete starts us off tonight. Good evening, pal. Still need a keeper, 150%. Seem both and disappointed. It's the last line of defence we need unless Chris is playing goalie when needed. Up the blades. What I will say on that, Pete, is completely agree. Completely agree. For me, goalkeeper's number 1 priority. But in this league, like, what did Adam Davies have to do yesterday other than pick ball out of net once? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And if we dominate the ball like the players in our team can, then it's going to be more about the attacking flair in the side that's the difference makers. You definitely always need a quality goalkeeper, but I don't think it's as vital in the Championship to have a great keeper as it is in the Prem. All that being said, go and get me Mike Cooper. Let's give him an offer that he can't refuse. Get a permanent goalkeeper in, like we've done with left back, left back now, I'm happy. If that were the only position to fill this summer, I'm kicking back with a cigar. Not a cigar because I don't smoke, but feet on the table, we're laughing. Get a goalkeeper. That'll settle a lot of nerves, I think. Wonder who our new right back will be. Although, to be fair, Sariki's been solid, but needing an upgrade. An unpopular opinion. I think Sousa is fantastic for us in this league. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. That's a big call. A few people have said it as well. I can see why. I thought he's played well. I think he's played well through pre-season, to be fair. He's a big ticket player, isn't he? So if we get a big bid for him, I think that'll test the board. And again, that probably opens them up to some criticism, but it'd be interesting to see if somebody comes and lays 15 million quid in front of him, whether they'll hold out for longer because he's got a long contract. So we'll see. In terms of a right back, yeah, we do need an upgrade. That was something else that Wilder said last night, that obviously Shackleton's out injured now. Sariki's done great, but he don't fancy him to play a 46-game season. It's just raw honesty, isn't it? And that's good because that's how I see it as a fan, that he's done well. He's a raw prospect, and I think he's got the potential to be very good, Sariki. But with young players, we saw it with Andre Brooks, they're not always, the thing that they struggle for is consistency. I think Sariki were caught out of position a few times yesterday as well, to be fair. Do you think we'll be able to spend all the money from Will Osula? No. It's been widely sort of, and this is, I think, where the board gets some stick. We're carrying a deficit of, you hear figures from anything between 15 to 25 million this season. Could be anything in that range. The Osula money, along with the Bogle money, along with the everything else that we've recouped, the Benny Traore money, will cover all that. So whatever the fee is, you've got to think it's covered by that. But then we need all the new recruits, don't we? So are you going to ride the losses? And I think that's where the takeover muddies the waters as well, because who pays for it? Is it pre-takeover? Is it post-takeover? Lots to think about. No, but I don't think we'll use all of the Will Osula money. I think we'll reinvest some of it because it's been an unexpected windfall. Joey, good evening, pal. I think it's an awkward stage. Most waiting for the money for Osula to come in, waiting for a couple of loans to happen, but I think people are starting to panic after seeing Wilder clearly frustrated. Yeah, I agree, and it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult because a lot of us are in a similar boat. And should he mask it? Should he not mask it? Should he be able to come out and, fire some bullets if he wants to? I don't think he was, by the way, and maybe I'm over-egging it, but I'm basing it off the reaction of the fans. And, we've heard for a long time that the Prince and Wilder are on the same page. I hope that's the case, because it didn't look like it from the interview last night in a lot of ways. A lot of people might think, well, if it's going to be a new board, then maybe it don't matter whether Prince and Wilder are getting on. But I think until we know for certain what's going to go on, I'd just like to think that they're still communicating well. I'm concerned about our striker sitch, says Daz. It showed last night where we're lacking, but loving the midfield. Looked like a solid 11 with a poor bench until January. I can't imagine much more spending. No, but we've got 5 loans to use. And I think Darren pointed out earlier that we'll probably use 4 of them. And we need to. Let's be right. Can't be messing around. I'm panicking, says Michael. Well, you wouldn't. You would, wouldn't you? Okay. Happy Chappy, the Prince is well and truly messing this club over. He's wanting to return a stake in the club. Isn't to do with any sort of loyalty or love for the club. It's just to keep lining his pockets. He's not keeping a stake in the club, pal. That's not happening. And that's not what any sort of delay is about. Zombie Hunter says, don't panic. 5 days to go and half the squad of toddlers. I've thoroughly hit the panic button. Hoever deals collapse when it's 99% done. We learn nothing from our previous mistakes. Poor business. This is what I mean. How can we do anything about Hoever failing a medical if that's what's happened? That's what's happened. Des Taylor has all the power. Wilder out. Des Taylor has all the power. He got rid of Calamity Egan, Gurky Turkey McBurney, and this manager is next. Okay, fair enough. Blazeman from the lane says, if we use that team that faced Huddersfield against championship opposition, I don't think it'll be a pretty outcome. Right back, centre back, goalkeeper badly needed. I agree with that, by the way. Right back, centre back, Jack Robinson. Come at me. No, I'm only joking. Goalkeeper badly needed. I guess we're waiting on the Osula cash to create funds. We shouldn't, though, should we? We shouldn't be waiting on the Osula cash. We should be getting everything almost ready to go so that when Will Osula's announced and the money drops, we can send it straight Plymouth's way or whoever else's way is coming in. It should all be teed up, ready to go. Last night, the game's got me panicking, says Jack. What's happening with the players? At the minute, I don't see how it's going to be different from last season. Last night, the game showed us that the squad isn't ready and far from it. Really can't get made round Blades at the minute. Player after player has gone through the exit door. Only got a handful coming. Need a goalie ASAP. Right back. 2 strikers at least. At least the Ramble's good. Thank you, mate. Yeah, we do it. Strikers as well. And I think Wilder was making a point last night by bringing Brewster off. And I didn't think he did great in the 9, to be honest. It were busy and he made some decent runs. And, you know, we all want it to happen for him, don't we? But it's not done so far. So it's been tricky, but yeah, strikers definitely needed. There's competition and backup for more. Evening, Jimmy. After what's been in the media of late, Wilder wanted Dazelle, told no. Hoever deal looks like a no. Who's blocking these deals? Dazelle, I'm led to believe, and this isn't from the club, but from other places, we weren't willing to offer him what he wanted as a squad player, wage-wise. But, however, that's not a deal that's completely off the table from what I'm told. It may well be ongoing negotiations. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. I don't understand the hold-up, most important transfer window, and a very hard battle to get promoted, which I don't see happening right now. If we don't get promoted, say bye-bye to our best players. I think you go through our 11, though. We've got some brilliant players. We've just got some very obvious weaknesses. Even if we could put both our keepers in the net, I'd have mid-outs that could keep a clean sheet, says Frank. Harsh but fair. Been told by a good source that the Prince wants to retain 30%. Not true. The Americans have given him a deadline because they're also considering some. That's certainly not true from what I've been told directly. Not true. Not true. I think we expect to hear something on the takeover shortly. I can't give you a time scale, and that don't help anybody. But it's one of them. So, Jimmy, what's your opinion on this then? Are you panicking? Should we panic? I'm not panicking yet. I'm not panicking yet because I know there's a plan. I know there's a plan, and it doesn't mean, you know, it's foolproof, and it doesn't mean things can't go wrong along the way. Something clearly has already gone wrong with the Hoever deal. So I'd be more comfortable if the issue I've got, and everybody's got really, is the speed and the lack of speed that's happened. There'll be reasons for it that we're not privy to. And I don't know how we become privy to it, but I'm not panicking yet. I want us to do something next week, and I think it's really important that we do. But the bigger picture is that we get the right ownership, the right backing, the right players in, rather than try and beat the clock for all of them. I've always backed the Prince, but finding this extremely difficult to do now. Says Paul. Kick off in a week, no money and a bare squad. Really feel Wilder's being stitched up here. We don't know that though, Paul. We don't know there's no money. We just don't. We're surmising, aren't we? We're all assuming. And you know what happens when you assume. Evening, Jimmy. Very worried for this season. Wilder looks peeved and drained already, even before the season starts. I think there's also an element to him being tired because he's worked very hard to get a lot of deals done. I'm sure he's hitting a lot of brick walls as well. He'll be frustrated with that. He'll be frustrated with how long it's taking to get deals done. He'll be frustrated with, originally, I'm assuming, speaking to 2 different parties about the future of the club and having 2 lists that we all knew he had. That has all got to be rushing around in his head, as well as implementing a new playing style, bedding in new players. I was thinking last night about how much pressure is on this man's shoulders to get it right. Because let's be right as well, if he fails at United, it's a bit all or nothing for Wilder at the minute. Otherwise, he probably has to go lower down again. Which, for a manager of his caliber, and I'll always bang this drum. It was the manager of the year, what, less than 5 years ago. You don't lose your ability like that. So, and the other thing is, it were a frustrating game in terms of us not finishing his chances, and I genuinely think he wants to win every single game. So there were that in the back of his mind that he were annoyed that we didn't actually win. There were a second interview as well. Can't remember, was that on Blade's website, where he seemed it appeared to be after the one he'd done, because he mentioned a few similar phrases, and he were a lot calmer. So it's just raw, isn't it, for him as well? When you see Wilder's body posture and stress in his face, no one can tell me everything is dandy, says Ron. We have fetched in 3 or 4 good players. They must be thinking, wow, what a bad move. CW has no say. It's clear. See, that you can't assume that, Ron. You're right in terms of his body language, and the stress in his face was definitely there. I'm not denying that. We've fetched in 3 or 4 good players. I'd say we've fetched in 3 quality players and 2 very good players. We don't know what they're thinking. They might be thinking, wow, Callum O'Hare's just walked through the door. Wow, we've kept Gus Hamer. We've kept Ollie Arblaster. We've kept Anel. They might be thinking all this, that brilliant. We're ambitious. We're going places. And the fact that you think Wilder's got no say, do you think he'd be here if he had no say? Because I don't. I certainly think he's at the table for me. I'm finding it hard to believe everything is running smoothly. Let's just hope they can turn it around, says Jack. Prince Abdullah, well, all season tickets sold now for the stink. Cannot feel how else at this time. Very worried for the outlook. Oh, the sting. Love you, Sir Jimmy Ramble. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, pal. Season starts on Friday, says Wayne. If something doesn't happen very, very soon, then I'll panic. We can't chuck points away like the start of last season. That's true. We need to start quick. We're on -2. We need to start quick, and that's what's worrying people. Jimmy, tell the Prince to give his head a wobble and jog on, says Dylan. It's the same Dylan that's always on X, potentially, with negative spin on stuff. That's fair enough. Your opinion, pal. You're entitled to it. Evening, Jimmy. Can't understand the panic, says Ian. Players that have gone weren't good enough or past their prime. Those are in better than we had in those positions. Couple more quality and we'll be fine. Like and subscribe. I completely agree. Look, the only element I'm panicking about is the time and the fact that, you know, if we can only draw at Preston because Gerbich or Davis throws one in, if it's a weakness that's clear and obvious that we haven't strengthened in time and we drop points, it will become a little bit toxic. But again, I'd rather get the right players in. Hi, Jimmy, says Tim. Although I've still complete faith in Wilder, he needs to be given the tools to do the job. Do you think he will be? It depends what tools you think that is, Tim. If you're saying, will he get, say Osula goes for 10, rising to 15, as has been reported. If you're expecting him to get 10 million quid to reinvest, I don't think it'll happen. But if you're expecting him to be given half of that to strengthen the squad in higher quality loans and maybe Michael Cooper on a permanent, then yeah, I think he will be. And I don't think we need loads more, particularly in terms of quality. I think starting 11 is up there. It will be up there with the best in the division. If it's true the money offered for Barn, Door, Osula, we've got to drive him there, says Danny. 15 million plus 5, it's not that, mate. Plus add-ons, plus probably a sell-on inserted. It's no-brainer. Snap their hand off and use the money. It's not quite that high, but it's a very, very good deal. Evening, Kev. Looks like Sariki, Brooks, One and Marsh are expected to play more games this season with the bigger squad. Could have gone out on loan. Hope they prove me wrong. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I agree, mate. I would have liked to have seen that. All of them, really. Maybe Brooks would have stayed around the squad anyway. But One and Marsh, Sariki, maybe not Sariki, because at fullback position. To buy in who we want, like Meppen, Worrell, and a few others. Action location. Jimmy, I think everyone is starting to get worried. Osula to Newcastle, which is a great deal, but still no movement on Michael Cooper. Good news, he was left out of Plymouth starting 11 today. Yes, I heard the same, mate. Maybe Cooper is on the move to us because he is needed like you wouldn't believe. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I think we definitely need a permanent goalkeeper. Definitely need a permanent keeper, in my opinion. Has Diaz been signed by Southampton, Jimmy? Surely, if he hasn't, then we should go for a deal. Yes, he has, pal. 7 million quid. I'd seriously put an offer in for Callum Styles from Barnsley. He's been playing really poorly, apparently. We'll get him on the cheap and a decent midfielder. We could have him as a squad player. Got a feeling Anel and Sousa starting the season. They're going to go before the end of the window. Plus, we've got 5 loans to use yet, so can get some young Prem talent or experienced players, which aren't Prem 25-man squad. I think most deals, especially loans, will be used in the last days of the window. I completely agree with that, Danny. I don't agree with Callum Styles. I think he's been poor. But in terms of the loans, the better players are always made available later in the window when clubs are starting to finalise their squad. This is a known fact. People know this. That doesn't necessarily help us in terms of the speed and what we need and what we want. But Gibbs White came to us late, McAtee came to us late, Tommy Doyle, because we needed. We'd rather wait for the quality than just get a body in. Evening, Jimmy, says Dan, or rather morning here in Vancouver. Nice one, pal. Anything on Liam Miller recently, or was that never a thing? I'd never heard that. I heard it obviously circulated online, but I've never heard it directly linked to Liam Miller. What do you reckon will happen with the Osula money? Should he hopefully go? I think some of it will be reinvested, mate, and that's not what people want to hear, but that's the reality of the situation. Evening, Jimmy, do you think Osula money could cover Cooper and potentially? I don't think Worrell comes unless Anel goes, and that might happen still. There's been no major links. There were talk of Wolves being interested at one point, Napoli at another point. There's been no major links for Anel out, but there's 4 weeks to go, and it hasn't really started moving yet, the transfer market properly. Would not surprise me at all if we got interested in Anel and Sousa. Hope not Hamer, hope not Arblaster, but there could still be some big deals to be done. So if we sell Anel, we'll go and get a Joe Worrell or a Mepham, no doubt about it. We'll definitely replace any permanent outgoings with a strong replacement. What's this on Bobby Clark? Some player, is that the Liverpool kid? I've seen his name mentioned online today. I haven't heard anything other than him mentioned, whether it's a strong link or what. So I will have to have a look at that before we speak about it, pal. Will says, evening, Jimmy. What 5 loans would you like to get over the line before the end of the window? I don't know about individual names. I know we're linked to Alfie Gilchrist. I really like Alfie Gilchrist. I really like Tom Cannon as a striker. I don't want to use the loan on a goalkeeper. I want Michael Cooper, but there are good goalkeepers available. Rushworth being the main name that's been linked. Centre half, I don't want a loan, but if it's a loan to buy for a Joe Worrell, I'm all over that. So Hamer was at Leeds today. He could be off. They'll have to stump up a lot of cash, pal. An awful lot of cash. Evening, Jimmy. Not an ideal week. Can't do much about a failed medical, though. Thank you, Scott, for being the voice of reason there. Get Suter, Gilchrist, Raksaki, and Cooper, and things look great again. We all know that won't be done by Preston, but hopefully we lead out on these deals, get the lead out on these deals. Wilder looks frustrated, but just wants the best. I believe we'll be in a strong position by the end of the window, but early points matter. Up the blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Why didn't Chris say in the interview he's not signing because he failed the medical? Strange that. Somebody asked me that today, actually, Sean. I don't know whether you're able to, whether it's seen as poor practice, whether there's like a data protection thing around it. I don't know. Because we've heard it done before, haven't we? I don't know whether we think it's, it's an unwritten rule that you don't really sort of, you're not stitching the lad up, are you? But it's difficult. Who were the 2 mysterious players, says Scott? Oh, well, yeah, you opted out, didn't you, pal? Opted out. Could it be Suter and Gilchrist, seeing they're apparently close? Could be, mate. Could be. Also, what's the plan with goalkeeper? Cooper seems to be a no-go, as Rooney said. If Rooney says he's staying, then that's it. He's off the table. He's off the table. Manager says star player is not for sale. That's it. We're off. Not that things don't look great. You know what I mean? We've just done great business so far, but really need depth in those key positions filled. Absolutely right, Scott, we do. Time to move away from Cooper, methinks. All right, Sean's ready to move on. Trust the process. Dylan says, perhaps sarcastically. Likely team for Preston: Davis, Sariki, Anel, Robbo, McCallum, Arblaster, Sousa, Burrows, O'Hare, Hamer, and more. Yeah, I think that's probably right, mate. Looking at Burrows moving up to right wing yesterday. Fans are peed off. Wilder's definitely peed off. It's time the Prince peed off. Evening, Jim Bob. How's you? Up the blades. Like and subscribe. I'm good, thank you, pal. Hope you are too. Evening, Jimmy. Hope you're well. Think it's really good business for Osula when he eventually gets announced by Newcastle. Hopefully reinvest the money into the team. I'd like to see a fair chunk of that money going on the team, mate. Yeah, I think we need it. I think we need to be busy. Good evening from Bamford in the glorious Peak District. Oh, nice. Don't like the name of the place, but hope you're enjoying the Peak District, pal. 78% on S2 for SU. No, that cesspit can do one, to be honest, and that's nothing to do with that poll. They are what an awful place. Bogle, yes, I've heard. Has Bogle been injured in a? Listen, you don't want anybody to be injured pre-season, but Leeds have lost Somerville. Bogle might now be out for some time. He wanted to leave us. I'm not going to laugh at anybody getting injured because I think it's poor form, and we would never do that anyway. But it's just bad luck for him, innit? It's bad luck for him, and it's another positive swing against our rivals, if you like. It's not just Gus. Bogle confirmed on Instagram he's invited Hamer and Brewster to the game. Chill. Love that, Scott. Thank you for calming us down. Yeah, of course it's Bogle. How did we not make that connection? Hi, Jimmy. Let's just try not to panic. Trusting the gaffer to get this done. Absolutely, mate. I always trust in Wilder. Always trust in Wilder. I think he could have maybe sort of pulled back a little bit last night, having reflected on it a little bit. But I get it. And he's just been himself. And we've always, or I've certainly always championed him for his honesty. I just don't always think that absolute 100% rawness is helpful in the bigger picture sometimes. Because it does sort of warm people to him, but it puts people off the board and the club, which, you know, Wilder's got no need to fester like a harmonious relationship, but at least protect the fan base by letting them know that things are happening behind the scenes. Because otherwise, a frenzy doesn't help anybody. I reckon Pirro at Leeds, Jimmy, who Gus knows. No, Danny, it may be. I don't know the connection necessarily, but Scott's just confirmed it above, hasn't he? Evening, Jeff. I'm not panicking yet, just hoping we have the money to spend soon. Me too, pal. Gus and Co could be going to see Bogle. Thank you, Ben. That's right. Watching Bogle and was injured, came off. Oops. Take out Reece Norrington Davis, Tom Davis, and Ryan Brewster, and I count 18 players I'd start the season with. We're probably 5 short. Cup games will be lads from the stands. I think 5. I think we'll try and go for 5. I think maybe 6, possibly 7 if I'm being greedy. See, I'd have liked, for example, I'd have liked us to have gone for Dazelle, got Dazelle in for a bench player, a squad player, if you like, somebody to come in, do the last 20 minutes of a game and be solid, and let Sidney Peck, rather than Sidney Peck do, 20 or 15, 20-minute appearances off the bench, get Sidney Peck out in League One playing 40, 45 games for somebody. I think that's the longer-term view. You just have to offer Dazelle a year. We're another option in our favour if he does well. Let's all stop panicking and get behind the players. Bring on Preston. Yeah, let's stop panicking, Isaac, if we can, pal. Because if you look at some of our squad, right, goalkeeper, we need a new goalkeeper. We need a new right back. Anel Ahmedhodzic at this level is an absolute beast, as we know. Yet to be tested in a 4 in our team at this level. But I still think he's going to be really, really strong. Jack Robinson, I've got question marks about, but a lot of people really rate him. You've got Harrison Burrows, absolutely unreal player, but also Sam McCallum to come in there. And then Harrison Burrows might go further up. Then you've got Ollie Arblaster, Vinny Souza, other players that can also play in that too. Gus Hamer and Callum O'Hare further up. Kiefer Moore up top, one at best striker, most prolific strikers in division. I worked out that Ben HD stat as well, by the way. So if anybody wants to know that, then I'll get onto it. It's for minutes played rather than games played. If Mrs. Ramble goes out on a Ramble night, that's her fault. The Ramble must go on. That's right, Mike. Yeah. If phone rings now, she can wait. She can wait. We're sorting the future of United out, aren't we? Hamer was with Brewster, purely watching a mate. Simple. Everybody chill. Thank you, Joe. If I'd have known that little fact before I came on, it would have calmed me right down and stopped me from panicking when I came on. Somebody's asked me what my plaster is. It were I'm cutting a bagel for my daughter. Don't cut bagels like that because it's stupid. Any news on the takeover? Positive, we'll say. Looking positive. I never like to say too much because A, things change so quickly. B, I don't want to sort of set people's expectations on something that might not happen. I have no experience in high-level finance or anything like that. All signs point towards a positive outcome. So for everybody saying that the Prince is holding it up for his 20 or 30% or whatever it is, it's my understanding that there's an agreement in place. Whether that's the case or not, because I hear different things. Other people hear other things. I understand that. So don't take my word for it. But from what I understand on the takeover, it's positive and moving forward. I'm positive about the young lads, says Aid. They have a big part to play this season, and credit is due for the recruitment that's been done so far. I agree. I think we've done the recruitment so far, whilst it's quality over quantity, isn't it? I'd be happy if we wait a little when we need quantity as well. I'd be happy if we wait a little longer for the right players rather than just any. But Wilder didn't sound like a manager expecting any players anytime soon. That's what annoys me because, not annoys me, but that's what I think is misjudged because he knows that we'll be getting players in. He knows, but he's clearly frustrated at the slow pace that we're moving at or appear to be moving at externally. And he'll have people in his ear saying, you know, why are you putting up with this? Tell him he needs to do this, all this sort of thing as well. Shame about Dazelle. I'd start him over Sousa. We're not going to do that, are we? That's a business thing. But to be fair, Sousa's played well in pre-season. If he sees the ball in a better angle from defenders and on the half turn, his position without the ball shields the centre-backs better. Yeah, I think he's looked tidy. And I don't think it's great optics when you bring a player on trial, it doesn't put a foot wrong, really. It don't, did nothing massively outstanding. Scored, but did nothing outstanding for us. But then we don't offer him a deal. So were we really interested in him or not? Maybe then circumstances change. We might be going for a higher caliber of player or what we assume to be a higher caliber. I don't know. But as I say, it's not off the table from what I understand completely. A few United and ex-United players were in Dormore pub last week. All right, okay. Fair dues. Mate, we are worried promotion may not be so easy. I don't think it'd be easy anyway, Beast, to be fair, pal. Wilder might be out before October. He looks drained. There is no way Chris Wilder walks away of his own volition. Not a chance. Bobby Clark of Liverpool linked to it, Blades. Not a position we need as we've got Peck, says Scott. This is what I mean. If Bobby Clark's seen to be more of a chance of breaking into our first team than Andre Dazelle, that might be it, man. That might be the link. Big Ivo has to start on Friday night. Let's hope not. He's building a team, says Nige. It was tough watch that interview with Wilder. Felt for him, to be honest. Came across from his expressions that he feels let down from the Prince. I know that's the optics I don't like. And I'm not saying it's not right. He might feel that way. But even if he does feel that way, then what positive comes out of it? Other than, I suppose, trying to get a bit of pressure on the board and the Prince. But that doesn't speak for a strong relationship, does it? Which we've all been told that they've got. Evening, Jimmy. Would you ever think about putting out a championship predictions video? Appreciate it's a Blades channel, but we'll be interested to see what you think of the Blades up the Ramble. Do you mean for league position, Bill? Because, yeah, people have asked me about it, and I know other people have done it. I just think it's a touch early. I think if you're going to do a video like that, you've got to first wait till you're much closer to end at window, because we don't know how we're going to look. We could look completely different in, well, let's hope we do look completely different in 4 weeks' time. I think you've also got to see teams play a little bit as well. When we saw it always jumps back where Huddersfield and Burnley first game at season a couple of years ago. And when you saw Burnley play under company, you knew that they were going to be good. So anyway, I will likely be doing one, but it will probably be closer to deadline day. I think Wilder was annoyed at the time. It's taking to get a workable squad together. The Prince is negotiating hard with deals, and it's taking a lot longer than the manager would like in 2 or 3 in by P&E. Yeah, absolutely right. Man Mountain speaking sense as always. Don't disagree, mate. Wilder looked a beaten man last night. Yeah, I know a few have said that, Chris. We can't afford to sell any more players. Players need bringing in now. Do you mean after Osula? I don't think there's any plan to be sold. Every player's for sale, though, pal. Every player's for sale. That's just the nature of the beast. But would people mind if we got 20, 25 million for Vinny Souza or 20 million for Anel? I know what you're saying. You're on about the bodies, the number of bodies, but I think you've got to roll with the punches, haven't you, sometimes? I think Brewster was with him at Scum game. I think we're safe. Don't get us panicking, Jimmy. No, sorry, mate. Yeah, that were a faux pas, but listen, we're live, aren't we? We just jump on and talk about things as they come in and as they happen. Souza would improve if in possession he didn't go ahead of the ball, and out of possession stands in a direct line from the centre back to the centre back on that side. Yeah. I think you were doing a lot more progressive passing yesterday. There were a couple of times he did get caught out and then tried to blame somebody else, pointing. But he's looked a little bit better. I'm trying to give him benefit of doubt, even though I'm not a fan. But he will be playing. He will be starting for us most likely. So I'm hoping he can grow in confidence, particularly with talent he's got around him in that midfield. I fully trust Wilder, but he's got his hands tied and looks peeved every interview. I don't think he'll last any longer than Christmas. That'll be completely up to Wilder, I reckon. I think the only way Wilder goes is if he's sacked. The thing that people aren't considering is, and look, I know it looks rosy at the minute, and from what I understand, that there's no intention to change the manager, but we don't know anything about this new ownership. So as and when they come in, they might give Wilder 4, 5, 6, 7 games to see how he gets on. Don't mean they're going to stick with him long term, does it? So Wilder, I think this is another element of why he's frustrated. He knows he needs to hit the ground running individually for his own skin as well, not just for the betterment of the club, but for his own position. And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So there is a lot of pressure on him. And I think we all have to stand back and accept that sometimes. A manager, all they're initially bothered about is the next game. Wilder loves the club and he will always have half an eye on doing what's best for the club down the road as well. So I'm not for 1 minute accusing him of just being short-termism. But in the position he's in, a year on his contract, doesn't know who's going to be his employer in 2, 3, 4 months' time. The only way he can secure his job is to keep winning games and keep the positivity going in and around the club. So I get why people are concerned about his interview last night, but he's at that point where he's in survival mode, isn't he? And it'll frustrate him that he can't get things done quicker. Is Hoever definitely off now? Hoever. Pal, I'm told it's shoulder injury that's caused him to fail his medical. Also, Suter is done and Gilchrist is done, pal. Like and subscribe. Up the blades, up the ramble. Liam's got some sources. Hoover's definitely off. That's all I'll say on that comment, pal. He's turned us down, though, so who knows what's happened. I know he hasn't turned us down, Todd. I know he hasn't turned us down. He couldn't raise an arm to wag his finger. Didn't he play 40 games last season? Is that Hoever? Don't mean he can't get injured. Apologies if you're on about someone else, Rob. Do you think it'll be done for Friday? I'm not sure. For those deals that Liam's mentioned. ITK Liam. Need at least another 8 players. 8's high. I certainly won't be upset with 8 players coming in. I just don't think we will. The thing is, here's a question. Would you rather have 8 players on 15 grand a week or 6 players on 25 grand a week? And if you correlate that with the 25 grand a week players being better players than the 15 grand a week players, these are the sort of decisions we're making, aren't they? Wilder has been fine. He wasn't happy with the performance last night, even after the match. He was on the pitch with them, giving them all a rollicking, says Nige. Another 5 players has to be rubbish. Prince Abdullah is poor. He can't afford his rent. Amazing. Not only does Prince Abdullah watch this channel, I've also got his landlord on as well. How mad is that we've grown so quickly? Wow. Brilliant. Thank you, Beast Boy, for coming and supporting. How was Huddersfield's hospitality, and did you vlog any of it? No, I didn't vlog any of it. That's not my bag. I'll leave that to Johnny. I know you've mentioned this to me before, Jamie. I might start doing a couple of pre-match little bits, but I don't like being in the ground and recording and stuff. I just like to enjoy the game when I'm there personally. I as for Huddersfield's hospitality, it is one of the best hospitality experiences I've had at Huddersfield, and I've been a few times now. Been fortunate enough, thanks to Johnny Ellett for sorting us out. But yeah, really, really good. We were saying, my dad said the same, and obviously he's experienced a lot more than me. But some of the nicest the atmosphere that you can go in. Guys, keep swearing away from the chat. Your comment won't be read. Thank you, Scott. Just a bit of cordiality. Yeah. His aging mate won't be able to do it much longer. I'll be glad to be in 6th place before January transfer window. Good signings and a good up-and-coming young lads. Fingers crossed. Well said, Kev. Well said. Also, the two regimes have agreed on a deal, and it's now with the EFL. Liam coming in with the exclusives. I cannot confirm nor deny any of this, Liam. It's pointless worrying about it. Wilder is definitely frustrated, says Dan. But I'm certain his team will be doing all they can to maximise the budget. Does anyone know about the centre-back we're loaning out? Loaning out? Nope. What do you make of the huddle at the end of the game? I don't really read much into that, to be honest. Gone quiet on Osula. You heard any more, pal? Yeah, it'll happen, mate, I think. We have one fit striker for last night, and that was Brewster. I know the irony of that, GT, to be fair, and yet we think 10 million for Osula is a good deal. Yes, we do. I think you're in minority, even on this chat, mate, and that's okay. It's all right to have a different opinion to me and others, but I cannot see how people think that Osula football, in my simplistic opinion, is about levels. Will Osula has always done it, again, in the 21s, which is Cat 2. He's always done it when he's done it lower down, essentially. He scored pre-season against Harrogate and Chesterfield. And he played 28 league games for us and scored none. 10 million quid plus 5 plus probably a sell-on. You are having a laugh. We've always had a really strong section, which seems to actually enjoy the club, struggling with signings. Just calm down. Prince Abdullah's spent when he's had to and kept players when possible and makes a profit. Yeah, I think the beauty, the one thing I'm looking forward to, if and when Prince Abdullah does leave the club, he has said he'll come on and have a bit of a warts and all open, ask me anything. And I know people don't think I will ask him anything, but I will. And he'll answer it. And I think there'll be some stories that come out that will shock a few people, probably. It's already moved out. If our team isn't ready for the start of the season, how badly does it affect the promotion? My worry isn't with Wilder, it's the fact we aren't ready. Yeah, that's mine too, Jack. That's mine too. I think a slow start really affects us, to be honest. I think it does. We'll be okay. Shame we've got no keeper yet, says Sam. I agree. 15 mil plus 5 with add-ons. We've scammed them, mate. It wasn't that, mate. It wasn't that. It's 10 plus 5. That's right, Scott. Big Ivo's going to be in the Championship. We don't really need Cooper, in my opinion. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, says Steve. Top man. I will feel better with a few more first-team players and get the squad players. I've never been a fan of Egan, but he's without a club, so a cheeky offer. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. We won't go back in for Egan, mate. We won't go back in for Egan. Any news on Alfie Gilchrist? Saw him following Sariki on Insta. These are the sort of rumours that I love. Yeah, I love that. Alfie Gilchrist is a name that we like, mate. So fingers crossed he's on the radar. I wish Sheffield United way will do the videos once a player signs to get our hopes up, and bang, they don't sign. We'll do the videos once a player signs, get our hopes. Oh, you mean wait until we've signed a player? I think they try to subtly drop hints, don't they? Yeah. It's completely up to them, mate, how they want to do it. It's a shame to see Will Osula go. He'll be good in the future, but hard to say no to that kind of money. And there's no guarantee he will be good in the future, to be honest. It's all potential, isn't it, that they're buying. Dazelle didn't sign. He looked a good player. You're sorry that Dazelle didn't sign because he looked a good player. Yeah, that's fair, mate. That's fair. Jimmy, with all the fees, we also have £42 million parachute money, so we should be in a good financial place. This sounds like a cop-out. I genuinely have no idea how the finances work, what the wage bill is, what other factors we have to cover in the money. That's why I never try and either defend or shoot down the club or Prince Abdullah with it, because I don't get it. I haven't got the figures. I'd love Darren to come back on and give us them. Some people would probably want a more independent person like Kieran Maguire. We're on Sheffield United way, weren't he? While they're interviewed on SUTV, looked calmer than the Football Heaven one, up the Ramble, up the Blades. Like and subscribe. Yes, I agree with that. And I think that was afterwards as well. Everyone's on about Hoever, but he's injury prone. His stats aren't that good either. I heard that too, Nige. He looks good on the highlights, and he's scored something like 4, assisted 5. But apparently, from the stat men, he's not all he's cracked up to be, which is, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I think we have a strong enough first 11, Bill says, to get 3 points next Friday. Come on, you Blades. I agree with that. It's the depth that I'm worried about, but that can get you through 1 or 2 games anyway without that depth, can't it? Hopefully, you've got to keep your fingers crossed, and we'd rather not do it. I'd rather us take our time and get everything right, says Luke. I don't want us to overpay for players and their wages. I agree, mate. Tom says, my issues are, why is a goalkeeper and Cooper taking so long? Why are we playing 4-2-3-1 when Burrows is more suited to wing back, along with 3 solid centre-backs, cover needed, and no senior wingers at the club? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I get that, Tom. It's quite a drastic change for what we're used to playing. I think we needed to make a bit of a change. I like the 3 at the back, I have to say, but people have been calling out for a change for some time. We haven't got the players currently that fit the system sweetly. We are trying to make moves for certainly one winger that's already been mentioned in chat, I think. We don't have 3 quality centre-backs either that I think we're comfortable with. We ain't got a right wing-back that we're comfortable with halfway. You're right, though. Burrows is a left wing-back, ideally. He can also play a left-back. He's good playing from deep. I think we fancy him a bit higher up as well. So there's loads of different reasons. I also think we'll see 3 at the back during times this season. When we've traditionally gone from a 3 at the back, we were so rigid prior. All the recruitment were done in the 3-5-2. Everything was geared towards the 3-5-2. Then mid-game, when we tried to change it tactically, players looked a bit lost. I think now we've got the 4-2-3-1. And if we feel like we need to change it, either mid-game or set up differently to start a game, we can slot into a 3 at the back formation much more comfortably than we could previously go to a 4 from a 3, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. And now is no time like the present when we've such a big redo to have another go at a different formation. Apart from loans and frees, why can't we buy it unless that we sell? That's apparent. Again, Sam, I don't know. And I'm not making excuses for it as well, because it does appear that a lot of money's coming to the club. So I don't know. If it all goes wrong, at least the third is delightful. Don't know, mate. Don't know. I'm glad we're being so careful and diligent with these medicals, says Renegade. If a player isn't right physically, we can't risk bringing them in. I agree, mate. And I think it's just frustration spilling over with some people, because if you think about it logically, it's nobody's fault. Even player, he don't want to be injured. We just can't make the deal happen. Really enjoyed pre-season. However, first half last night, I was worried. I was too. Recruitment so far, spot on. Need more and quickly. Friday not far away now, and we need a win. -2 needs to turn into 1 quickly, in my opinion. Dino, comment of the night so far. Agree with everything you've just said. If it all goes wrong, at least the 3rd kit is delightful. 3rd kit, right? Thank you. But yeah, I love that 3rd kit. Blaze up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Fans blame the club for a player failing a medical. If they signed him and got injured, they would blame the club. Just cannot win with some fans. Calm down, Blades. Burrows looked great on extremely limited preseason game time. He really grew into the game. I thought the same. I thought he looked a bit tentative in the first half. I think Wilder mentioned that in his pre-match as well, in his post-match. But second half, well, he made the goal, didn't he, with his brilliant free kick. Hi, Jimmy. I think if the team and squad are good enough at the moment for promotion, I think we're in cuckoo land when we do panic. Wilder is the right man, but come on, where is the investment? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. I like the recruitment so far. I like it. I think we're getting the right players in. It's just the speed for me, Gaz. Anyone else getting annoyed over advertisements in the middle of the live stream? Oh, I didn't know that were happening. Apologies, pal. Apologies, but that's an automatic thing set that I have to do to help grow the channel. And why do we trust? Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up Jimmy. Thank you. Thanks, mate. I'd love to be that stressed on 10 grand a week. Yeah, me too. Me too. I don't know what he's on, but he'll be nicely compensated, won't he? I think what's worrying me is that it's a really hard season. Leeds, Burnley, and Luton. I thought we would hit the ground running from the start. While there's allowed to be stressed, it's part and parcel of being a coach manager. It just shows he's doing a huge amount behind the scenes. Of course he is. He'll be doing loads. Imagine the stress. Ads are part of how YouTube runs and creators can benefit to get used to it. Thanks for it again. Cheers, pal. Doing us a solid there. Wilder will sort this out. He's the man to take us back up. Keep the faith, Blades. I've seen worse times as a Blade. Oh, loads, Rob. Loads. We do get spoilt, don't we? It's crazy how many people are panicking. Just chill out. Thursday night, have faith in the club. And personally, people slagging Prince Abdullah off is ridiculous. I know people can have opinions, but he's been great for us. That is my opinion also, but people are entitled to theirs. What, in the middle of a live stream, so you missed live content? Oh, my goodness me. Let's not argue over that, please. Evening, Jim. Firmly in the don't panic camp. Listen to rather than watch CW interview. Just an honest and matter-of-fact chat to me. The bloke's probably shattered too. He'll get it right. That were my first impressions, Clarky, and I don't know whether I've been swayed by the comments post-match or certainly just sort of steered that way by people being quite negative about it. So, yeah, I thought the same at the time. I thought it was just an honest, raw interview, and it's, yeah, fair play, mate. Sat in front of a guy whose mate is Dazell's agent. He said he asked for too much money. There you go. Some people will turn that into Sheffield United won't pay, but it's two sides to every story, isn't there? Usually middle's right, somewhere in middle's about right. I know he hasn't the money, but he's been open about it. Took a huge gamble in the promotion season and didn't see people complaining then. Yeah, if we'd have sold Illiman halfway through promotion season like we could have done, and Berger, I don't know they went that close season, but we'd achieved promotion. So Wilder was upset that we didn't win. Like all Blades, he wants to win every game. Says Rob, remember it's a marathon, not a sprint. And in Wilder we trust. I'd like to thank Prince Abdullah. Blades have done well under his ownership. I really think he's been great for the club. If he had a bit more money, he'd be incredible. You can rewind, Walter, but only a few seconds missed. In what world is a full 10 million from the Osula sale not expected to go back into the transfer fees, wages? We should be spending without that fee. People are way too relaxed about where this money is going. What if we only get like 2 million a year for next 5 seasons? I don't know how it breaks down. Nor do you. And this is why I don't try and jump in and defend one side on finances. I would like to see more money spent on the club, but how easy is that for me to say when it's not my money? So it's all right me saying, go get Cooper, which I really want us to do. That might put us in a bit of a sticky situation. 50 likes. What's going on? There's been more than, we've had well over 400 in consistently for a long time. Come on, guys, do better. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Leeds haven't got the cash to be splashing out. Leeds have just sold Archie Gray for 40 mil and Somerville for 25. Hamer and Brewster were at Leeds game as guest of Bogle, very close friends. Love that. Thank you, pal. Hi, Jimmy. Do you think Slimani will play a bigger part this season, potentially more advanced up the pitch? I hope not on last night's evidence. I'm yet to be convinced by Slimani, I'll be honest, Stu. Obviously wish him the best. Hi, Jimmy. Love the Ramble. Having watched last night, very impressive midfield, but definitely need a goal scorer and a keeper up the Blades, up the round. Thank you, Michael. Very, very nice of you to say. Thank you, bud. Yeah, I opted out, but I won't. Wow. Disappointed Takeover seems to have affected our deal so far, says Andy. Been pleased with what we've brought in, but we need more goalkeepers as a priority. We'll feel far more confident when that happens. Yeah, me too, mate. Aren't we the same fans that were calling for the kids to be given a chance last season, and now we got rid of the dross? We're complaining the kids are playing. Do you know the two mysterious players, says Alex? I've heard rumours, but it won't be really for me to say. The one thing I mean, it's been alluded to in this chat already. The club do not benefit at all, do they, by us jumping the gun with names and stuff like that. Hoever got out through whatever means, and that were it. Everybody were like, we need him. And as soon as he fails the medical, allegedly, it's the club that's at fault because all the fans have built their hopes up about getting this really solid championship right back. So if we find out the names of the two lads that are supposedly coming in this week, hopefully, then then why would we put it out there? Any of us, other than to be first to do it. Would love us to go in for Reece Williams or Nat Phillips from Liverpool. Probably too expensive for us, but would be solid options of being pressed on loan for Swansea and Cardiff. I haven't seen much of Reece Williams. I'm not a huge Nat Phillips fan, but he improves us, Andrew. So yeah, possibly. No cheer from me on Bogle's injury. You can't, mate, can you? Just not just on not wanting to see a player injured, but if Leeds need to plug the gap, they'll likely be fishing in the same pond for us as us for a right back. Great point, mate. Great point. Hamer look bored, stiff at Leeds. Yeah, you don't want to be there, mate. You don't want to be there. Even in Jimmy, injuries could kill us this season. No strength in depth. We aren't going to cover every position to championship standard. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe to the Ramble. We need to get that strength in depth sort of, don't we, Dom? Gus going to Leeds. Please say it's not true. It's not true, mate. It's not true. Went to Huddersfield game. Thought they played well, pushing forward, but lacked a striker, and defence still looks weak. Although annoyingly, Vinny played well. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Ben Smalley says, I think this season was always going to be a work in progress. I don't think promotion is particularly realistic because of that. I'd happily take a mediocre season this season if it means we're in a better position moving forward. That's a very sensible, big picture look at it, and not many will join you on that, I don't think, Ben. I think we're all, me included, very short-termism when it comes to football in general, but particularly our club. Starting 11 is top 3 or 4 in the league, and even more with a couple that might happen soon. Just a bit of depth and we're flying. Only 5 to 6 more needed. Takeover, hopefully not too far away up the Ramble. Joe, that is absolutely bang on, mate. Absolutely bang on. That's exactly where I think we are currently. How many more signings do you think we need to build a decent bench? Because I think by the goalkeeper, we're pretty decent. Can you please say happy birthday, Dave the Blade? Hope you're having a good one, pal. Up the Blades and up the Ramble. Yeah, happy birthday to Dave. And sorry, mate, to answer your question, how many signings do you think we need to build a decent bench? I don't think the depth is there in the squad. So I think at least 5 or 6, in total honesty. Bogle is the August player on the calendar, for God's sake. Certainly is. Certainly is. Oh, I hope. Archer playing at the side of Moore, mouth-watering. If only, Craig. If only. Why has the takeover gone quiet recently after being close a month ago? Are we awaiting EFL approval? Liam reckons so. Liam says we are, Tom. Good evening, Jimmy. It's Saturday evening. You're not taking your wife out for the evening. She's out, mate, without me. I think that's how she prefers it, to be honest. She's on a bottomless brunch. So, yeah, I'll be picking her up at some stage. Probably literally picking her up. If the takeover goes through, big if. Wouldn't be surprised if Wilder was shown the door. It's down to him, innit? If he's winning, then he's not going to get shown out, is he? Other than appreciation. 4 weeks left of the transfer window. It's not time to panic yet, says Steve. Well said, pal. Yet we know loans are usually done later in the window. Yeah, agreed. Do you think our team will look different, stronger? Oh, absolutely, I do. I think we'll be much stronger by the end of the window. But the panic, Jack, not panic, but the frustration is how slow we've been and the points that are up. Somebody said in our Ramblers chat earlier, it's almost like people don't recognise that these points early season also count towards your total. Because it's like a strong start. Having a slow start can sometimes be dismissed. It's so important to get off to a good start. Really important. How disappointing do you think Brewster was yet again? I know it's only pre-season, but I think it's a total waste of money. It's slim pickings now for us, though, isn't it? He's going to be in and around the squad. It was slightly disappointing for me, pal. Evening, Lee. Any news of transfer interest in Gerbich? I've heard a few are sniffing, but nothing solid, pal. The earlier we can get this player out of our club, the better, and bringing at least a solid keeper. It's just a tall, expensive Lee Baxter. 8 players on 15. Okay. Sorry, mate. I don't know what you mean by that. Why are we taking so much from Wilder's body language in one interview, says Mark. He could be a different bloke right now for all we know. Let's calm down, trust the process. Wilder wants success as much as us. Absolutely right. And this is, Mark summed up the reason I wanted to talk to everybody tonight, really. It's just take a breath. Will you be at Deepdale next week, Sir Ramble, or are you doing a watch-along? I shall be doing a watch-along, my friend. It's the first watch-along on the channel, I think. First one in ages, anyway. I think I did one for Villa, didn't I, last season. But yeah, I'll be doing a watch along next week, and then I'll be at the QPR game following week. I think the centre back mentioned earlier is Sam Curtis. Oh, yes. Yeah, you might be right. The one who's gone out on loan. He's a right back, though, isn't he, Sam Curtis? Personally, I think the window should shut by 1st of August. I agree, Danny. Hate when players start the season, play well, 4 or 5 games, teams come in and they move on. It upsets all the planning. Diaz went for 7 million and we're selling Osula for 10 plus 5 when he didn't score. What a sale. Exactly right, mate. Any news on who the new captain and vice captain will be? It'll be Robbo, but vice is a toss-up. I will be amazed if it's not already sorted with Robbo and Arblaster. Sam Curtis has gone to Peterborough. He has, pal. Everyone expecting promotion this season is a bit ignorant and arrogant, in my opinion. Look what happened last season. We had no money to spend and was a dreadful season, as we all know. This season's about a rebuild. Sousa is supposedly a quality centre-half, could play between Robbo and Anel. Not seen it, though, have we, Dean? I've heard similar that he can play there. Whether I'd want to or not, I'm not sure. Any news on Shackleton? Let's go with a glass half full for once and do the business at Preston. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Yes, David, he's... it were a month. Wilder said it last night, I think. 4 to 6 weeks was the prognosis for his injury, a bad knock. And hopefully it was leaning closer towards the 4. Link up between Hamer, O'Hare and Burrows off the left looks promising. It looks great, doesn't it? Burrows is such a good signing. Makes us so dangerous from corners and free kicks as well. Defenders need to look for more making runs in behind. He was willing in pre-season, but they didn't look up and find him. I think that sort of stuff will come as we gel a little bit, Aid. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully. After last season, movements out were inevitable. The new boys look very promising for the future. A good team is not built over a summer transfer window. Patience and belief are the best coaches up the Blades. Well said, mate. Well said. Sky reported yesterday that the Osula deal will be $2 million a year for 5 years. I think Sky have... Fair enough, David, but I think Sky have been off with a few bits recently. This is the same Sky who reported that it were 15 million plus 5, so we're 5 short by their own calculations there. But I've got a feeling Leeds are coming in for Hamer. Right, is that you? Somerville confirmed to West Ham. Big loss for Leeds. Love that, Scott. Love that. Hamer won't go to Leeds. It'll be to the Premier League if he goes. I agree with that. You say don't panic, but the board have done false promises for the last 2 years. Have they? Squad is an absolute joke. I don't agree with that. It's thin. It's not a joke. There's some real good players there. No club should go into a season without a senior first 11. That's fair comment. That last bit. The ball's in from the ball's in from Burrows with more on the end of them. Screams goals, but I just know if we don't go, we'll lose O'Hare and Burrows next summer. We've just brought them in. We can't panic about losing them already, Matt. Losing Osula isn't a gut-wrenching loss. Losing players like Brian Dean twice, Fjortoff, Edwards and Agana was. Correct, Mark. PA has let Hecky, Slav and Wilder down. It's a rinse and repeat of last season. Joke. Fair dues, mate. That is your opinion. Imagine how much they go for in this day and age, Mark. Oh, yeah. Can you imagine them sort of players? Unreal. Right now, what do you think our weaknesses and strengths in our squad and how much work to be done? I think there's a lot of work to be done. We've touched on it already. We definitely need a goalkeeper and a right back. I want some cover. I'd like a new left centre half. If Anel goes, we need to replace him like for like, but we need some more depth in that right centre half, and we need striker cover or competition, ideally. Wingers as well. If we're going to be playing with this new system, like it's been mentioned, Hamer and O'Hare are probably 2 of the 3 in the 4-2-3-1. But if you get somebody like a Raksaki in, hopefully, that would do the business. Lovely, wouldn't it? Advertisement came on the right, showing Bogle in the calendar. That's probably right. Prediction, Jim Lad. 0-4 win on Friday and smash Wrexham in the cut. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Love that Pixie. Nice to see you back, pal. Prediction. I haven't really thought about it enough yet. See what we do this week and then join me on the warm-up because we'll be back for the warm-up and I'll give you a prediction then, pal. If we're receiving, say, $2 million a year for Osula, then simply go and buy players on the same deals. If other clubs do, no excuses for us not to. All that money needs plugging in now. No excuses. Up the Ramble. That's fair, mate, because that's how deals are done, isn't it? You pay installments now rather than upfront fees. So if we do get Cooper, for example, for $3 million over 5 years, then you pay $750 a year. Don't you? Over 4 years, you pay $750 a year, for example. Anyway, let's have some positivity, Blades. Regardless of who comes in, let's get behind the lads and the gaffer and the Ramble. Keep the faith of the Blades. Thank you, Renegade. Appreciate that, pal. With the signings he's managed to bring in. No way is Wilder shown the door. No, I don't think he will be either. I think it's now or never with promotion. If unsuccessful, I feel we would lose Hamer, Anel, Sousa, Blaster, O'Hare, and any players out of contract such as Brewster. If so, we become championship fodder up the Ramble. If we don't get promoted this year and we sell Hamer, Anel, Sousa, Blaster, and O'Hare, we'll be the richest club in championship history, I think. Imagine that. Excuse me. No, they're on long contracts, a lot of them, other than Anel. I wouldn't have that fear, to be honest. So, are we set up for next season, Jimmy? I don't follow things that closely. Yeah, I think we are, pal. I think we are. Good point about Wilder's one-off interview. Thank you, mate. What's your thoughts on Osula as a player? We'll back the lad regardless if he signs for us. Oh, this is Joddy Toon. Nice one, pal. Good luck for the season. Come in. Nice to see you bounce back. Thank you, mate. I bet it is nice for you. It would be nice for you to see us come back as soon as you've thrashed us. Osula, you're buying potential, mate. You're overpaying for him. I don't think any blade would argue. Well, some would, obviously, clearly, but you're overpaying. But there's a player in there. Undoubtedly, there's a player in there, and he's a really good lad as well. We all wish him well. He's got all the tools, but he's still raw. And I think if he could have some composure in front of goal, which he started to show pre-season, to be fair, you could have a really good player on your hands. But we need that brass now. We can't turn that sort of money down. So yeah, thank you for your well wishes and good luck to you as well for that season. Have you seen about Norwood at Stockport? Yeah, Ollie Norwood on trial at Stockport. How the mighty have fallen. I know he's getting on now, but Stockport in League One, if they don't snap up Ollie Norwood, they're doing something wrong. I asked if you'd take 5. Oh, you asked if I would take 5 on 25 or 8 on 15. Oh, so you'd rather take 8 on 15 grand a week. You'd rather have a bigger squad but less quality. Okay. I don't know if I would. Preston game is huge for the fan base. As if we lose or it's a poor performance, it's the biggest meltdown in a while. However, a positive performance and a win with a new signing or two, and we're going up the Blades, up the round. This isn't your first rodeo, is it, Tom? You're a Blade, I can tell. Slimani is a player that I can't see playing much at the Blades. I'll try and recoup what we paid and get him off the wage bill. That could be freed up for another signing that will improve us, says Lee. Completely agree, pal. I'd be on the same lines with that. Get Gary Medine in as backup. When's the warm-up? I don't know yet. It'll be next week, pal, before the game. It's the pre-match, basically. The biggest rebuild in the club's history, and it's 5 in and 19 out. Joe, is it 19 out now? Bloody hell. How long's Anel got left? I think he's got a couple of years left, at least. Rhino, a new contract, 2029. Yes, Renegade, correct. Shows that we have a real player there. I think the club believe he'll be better than Osula by this time next year. I also think it's club protecting themselves a little bit, so we don't, if clubs are willing to spend this much on Sheffield United forwards, then let's get him tied down. Improve Osula for us, so when you sell him, we get some more money, says Jack. Yeah, we'll have that. Been a Blade for 42 years, and we never do things easy. Just remember, it's the badge on the front that matters and not the name on the back. Well said. CW will get it sorted in time. Lee, you always talk sense, pal, and thank you for joining us, bud. If Moore isn't fit, we've got no target man. I think we'll struggle at Preston. Tough to beat at home. He'll be back for Preston, pal. But we do need more depth in that position, no doubt about it. Just read, says Bry, that Caelan Lavery is retired due to his injury. Well, that's sad that he's retired due to injury, but wish him all the best. Anyway, that is our last comment of the night. Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. Look, it's easy for us to say don't panic in it. It's one of them that's so easy to say and so difficult to do. But there's 4 weeks to go till end of transfer window. If you look at a lot of our starting lineup, it's strong. It's strong. There's clear weaknesses that we're focusing on building and sorting out. Wilder will be frustrated. He's a Blade first and foremost, but a lot rides on his shoulders and he'll be very busy trying to sort us out. It's a huge rebuild and it'll take its toll on him like it's taking its toll on all of us. But let's not get divided or split by this. There's a wave of momentum starting to build under Wilder, and I don't want that to dissipate in any way. We're all coming back together again, and if everything starts to click, it could be a really, really positive season for us. So having said all that, I'll see you all very shortly. It won't be long before I'm back. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the Blade!